Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about visualization. Um, Love this quote where it comes from. Imagination is the beginning of creation. You imagine what you desire, you will what you imagine, and at last you create what you will. This is by George Bernard Shaw. So, in other words, we're saying here that if I can imagine something in my mind's eye, then my will creates that in reality. We create our own realities by what's going on up here. So, here's how this works when we're going into a new situation. And I've covered this before, but we're in the present moment looking at the future. We could be looking at a future game. The problem is we don't know what's going to happen in that future game. And so our brain becomes confused, and this cloud of confusion forces us to look back at our past for something that the brain can recognize. It's a pattern recognition machine. So it's going to want to find something that it can bring into our future that gives it peace of mind, as it were. But obviously, looking back at our past, we're looking at failures, some victories, fear, memories, anxiety, stories, beliefs, unmet expectations. These are all the things that are in our past, and the brain will attach itself to one of those past and bring it then into the future. So if you're about to go into a game, the chances are you'll go into a game with a past memory attached to it. How do we overcome this? Well, we visualize our ideal future. We create a thought that in turn will create an emotion, right? So we visualize that game and how it's going to go. The brain doesn't know the difference between a visualization and an actual experience, which is why all of the top athletes in the world use visualization to see the game that's in front of them. They're going to create an ideal game, a perfect game. The brain then takes that as it actually happening, and so it's now a memory, and the memory can now be brought back into this present time when we're going into the game. So now we've got a real positive thought visualization of our game. There are several things to be aware of here. To create our ideal future, our mind needs a new image. So we need to really picture the perfect image, the perfect game that we're going to play, striking the ball well, running well, turning well, whatever it is, scoring goals, hitting home runs, whatever it is. This idea of an ideal future, we've got to visualize it. And then that will create the emotions that will in turn will create the action that we're looking for. We'll play with more skill, we'll play smoother, we'll swing smoother, whatever it is that we're looking at. So this quote by Michael Phelps: it's not the races you win that make you a champion, it's the ones you lose, because those are the ones that teach you the most. I bring that up because when we're visualizing our perfect game, right, we also want to think of it as a journey. And if we're going on a journey, right, we know that we're going to go into valleys. We know that we're going into deep forests. We know that we're going to come into problems. So when we see the game we're about to visualize, we want to see all of it, the good and the bad. And here's why: we want to focus on what good we see. So when we visualize, we want to really focus on our perfect touch, our perfect shot, our perfect skill, our perfect strike, whatever it is, and feel that emotion. Get into the feeling of what that emotion feels like in that moment in your visualization. But we want to be aware of the potential hurdles, so when they arise, that emotion doesn't derail us. If I miss a shot, if I miss a swing, if I mess up on a skill, whatever it is, I want to be aware of that emotion. So when it does arise, I can go, okay, I can overcome this. I can keep going. And so we work with that within our visualization, but we don't focus on that. We're just aware of that. We want to be in this space where we're what I call envisioning. In other words, I see myself in the game. I actually watch myself as an observer. It's kind of like going to a movie theater. We play the movie on the screen of the game that we're about to play, so we can feel every emotion. Here's what I would suggest that you do as well on top of this: the more senses you have in play, the better. So in other words, smell, If you've got some oils that you can put on the sleeve or on your cuff, smell those oils while you're visualizing, and then in a game put those same oils on so you can smell them. Brings in a second, third sense. Before a game, when you're visualizing, play some music in the background. Before a game, play that same music so it brings back to mind that memory. Smell, sound, these are all great things that you can do to bring yourself back into the moment. Touch, so if you're just playing with something in your hand that you can actually touch textile stuff before the game, that's another great way of doing it. But that's our visioning, right? We want to see the entire game. We want to see us playing in the game. We want to see us playing at our best in the game. We also want to be aware of the potential obstacles so we can overcome those emotions when that happens. And we want to bring in other senses: smell, hearing, and touch. So that's your visioning exercise. Go ahead, practice this. This is a little longer than normal, but practice this. Remember, it is a practice, just like any other skill. It will take some time to get there. Don't give up. You've got this. I know you have. Keep it going.